Stop the presses, cut the beat, shut the whole system down. 'Cause we got something to talk about today that's got me scratching my head so hard I might just uncover the Da Vinci Code.
The accusation was always that like liberals controlled the culture, and there's a degree of truth to that, but the cultural controllers don't actually talk about politics, right? That like if you think of like, well, think about all like the Hollywood stars and think about like the singer, like Taylor Swift is a great example. The Taylor Swift endorsement, right? Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris. People are like, oh, this is a huge deal. It's really good. But Taylor Swift doesn't do politics. She doesn't talk about politics. None of these people, like Hollywood actors or people, none of these people really talk about politics. Maybe now and then they'll drop a tweet or they'll give like an interview and they'll be like woke or whatever, but they don't like really talk politics. Meanwhile, conservatives everywhere are on overdrive mode talking about politics full time, constantly, everywhere, in every arena, and it infects and it bleeds through every single part of every single thing they do, right? Should I open a savings account? You want to open a savings account? Let me tell you about the Federal Reserve and the evil of fractional reserve banking and why we should be back on the gold standard. It's like, okay, Jesus. Should I buy a house? Do you want to be in the renter economy forever? Do you want to have a family? Aren't you white? Aren't you worried about being outbred by, like, can I go to college? Depends. Are you going to go for a wokey STEM degree? Or not a STEM degree, I'm sorry. You're going to go for a wokey liberal arts degree? Or you're going to get a real STEM degree? Okay, Jesus. Like, infects, like, everything.
A wide tent, new conservative movement, if you want to use the conservative word. I mean, I'm married to a guy. Like, that's not the most conservative thing out there. So, like, there's something really interesting brewing, and I'm very, I've been getting a lot of credit for the last couple of weeks because it's so connected to my journey, but I'm very proud that I had really interesting brewing, and I'm very, I've been getting a lot of credit for the last couple of weeks.
But credit from who?
Because it's so connected to my journey, but I'm very proud that I had anything to...
A person as famous as Taylor Swift, who is very actively Republican, except for maybe Elon Musk. I would say easily Joe Rogan, but there's, I'm trying to think. You have a thing where you have like audience number, and then you have audience, I guess you can call it like conversion, basically, for how well can I convert an audience member into a sale, right? So if you go way over here, right, let's think about radio, okay? For radio, I have a huge audience reach, okay? I might broadcast in a place like Chicago, and I might have 100,000 listeners or more, right? I have a huge reach. How many people in Chicago listen AM radio? How many radio listeners in Chicago? I'm sure these numbers are down a lot from what they used to be, but can I find other numbers on this anywhere? Cumulative listeners, maybe? A million, whatever. But whatever. So like I might have a huge reach on radio, okay? And then I might go over into TV, and I also have like a pretty huge reach, okay? And then from there, maybe we'll hop online, and I might have things like TikTok or Instagram, right? Where I still have like a really huge reach. And then we might get into things like YouTube, where I've got like a pretty huge reach, or I'm sorry, not a huge reach. And then maybe we'll say like YouTube videos. And then we'll say we've got things like streaming, okay? Where the reach becomes much, much, much smaller. So when you look at things like this, you're trying to imagine like, okay, well, who gets paid the most money between all of these things? And the overall viewers don't matter anywhere near as much as the actual engagement. Like how likely are you to convert a listener into a sale? You have your sales funnel where you're trying to get people to go buy, or to some other type of engagement where you can monetize them, right? For radio, this number is like, it's like here. I think for TV, it might be a bit higher, maybe like here. For like TikTok and Instagram, maybe you'll do like a little bit better. YouTube videos are a bit better. And then like for streaming, it's like the best, okay? I should draw this a bit more. Because the engagement per viewer is so much higher than it is for any of these other platforms. Right? If you imagine a radio host that broadcasts to 100,000 or 500,000 people, right? That radio host might make 100,000 a year or something. I don't know. Somebody Google what's the median salary for like a radio host. Maybe less than that. I guess it depends on like how small you're going, right? For people working TV, they're going to be reaching millions of people, but their salaries aren't like millions of dollars unless you're like a primetime host, right? But when you come all the way down here to the streamer side, right? So like right now I've got 5,500 viewers. For 5,000 viewers, if you were a radio host, you would be a failure. 5,000 viewers, what are you, a college town radio host? For TV, you're getting kicked off of anything. TikTok and Instagram, 5,000 views on a video is nothing. Even for YouTube videos, getting 5,000 views a video is just not much. But for streaming, 5,000 viewers is easily enough to hit you like mid six-figure income, if not more, depending on how you monetize, all right? Because the engagement is so much higher. All of this to say that when somebody says, is there somebody as big as Taylor Swift on the right? And then my response would be something like Joe Rogan. I think that Taylor Swift is like this. She's got a much larger reach. But when she talks about politics, it doesn't really mean much because her audience is not very political. They might be kind of be like young and wokey, but they're not really like politically activated. They don't like, oh, Taylor Swift said this thing. Okay, cool. And then like, okay, well, what happened next week with Justin Bieber? Or I don't know who you talk about these days, right? But on the Joe Rogan side of things, if Joe Rogan wants to talk about how dinosaurs are fake or whatever, we're going to do a 3-hour show on that, and it's going to become part of like the community identity to believe these things, and it's going to be referenced on future shows, and there might be future guests that talk about it, and there might be like little memes that develop about it. Like the engagement is so much higher. So even though Taylor Swift might have a bigger reach in terms of number of ears hit, like eyes on content, Joe Rogan has a much deeper reach into the mind because people are engaging with that content for that content a much more deeply, I guess. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
We talking about these liberal celebrities, the Taylor Swifts of the world, the Hollywood elite, and why they move in politics like a TikTok trend. Hot for a second, then ghost like they never existed. Meanwhile, the conservative side out here treating politics like it's the NBA Finals every single day, never taking their foot off the gas. And who better to break this all down than your boy Destiny? You already know when he get on stream. The roasts, the analysis, the logical breakdown's gonna be crispy. But when he cooked this one, man, he had the whole kitchen burning. We gotta talk about the absolute clown show that is these liberal celebrities trying to dabble in politics. Cause listen, we've been hearing for years that the liberals control the culture. That Hollywood is just one big leftist echo chamber, right? And on the surface, that sounds real. I mean, every award show got some actor getting up there dropping a vote blue speech. Every pop star got a "we stand with insert latest social issue" post on IG. But let's really break this down. Cause the way these folks move when it comes to actual political influence, it's laughable. See, the thing is, these Hollywood elites don't really do politics like that. Not the way conservatives do. You got folks like Taylor Swift, right? She might pop out every election cycle, drop an endorsement, and all of a sudden the news cycle act like she just swung the whole election. Oh my God, Taylor Swift endorses Biden. This is huge. But bruh, is it really? Cause let's keep it a stack. Ain't nobody turning to Taylor Swift for political insight. Like, imagine you sitting there, trying to figure out where you stand on tax policy. And you like, hold up, let me see what Travis Kelce's girl gotta say. Nah, that's not how it works. Meanwhile, on the conservative side, they eat, sleep, and breathe politics. Everything gotta be political. You can't even ask a conservative influencer about opening a damn savings account without them talking about the evils of the Federal Reserve and how the gold standard is the only way. You trying to get a mortgage? Oh, so you trying to be part of the rent economy and let globalists control your land? Want to go to college? Depends. You getting a STEM degree like a real American, or you trying to major in some wokey nonsense? Like bruh, they cannot have a normal conversation without turning it into a full-blown manifesto. And that's why they actually move the needle in politics. See, this is what Destiny missed. Yeah, engagement matters, but it's not just about how deep people go into a content rabbit hole. It's about how much these influencers are actually building an ideology. Joe Rogan got pulled not just cause people listen to him, because he's part of a whole conservative pipeline. 1 minute you listening to a Rogan podcast about DMT. Next thing you know, you watching Ben Shapiro and taking notes on why weather change is a liberal hoax. The conservative side don't just hit you with opinions. They hit you with the whole ass belief system. Meanwhile, the left, they too scared to go all in. Like, let's be real. Name one liberal celebrity who pushes politics like a conservative one does. Who? The best example Destiny could come up with was Taylor Swift. Come on now. Meanwhile, the right got folks like Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, hell, even random actors like James Woods be more politically active than half of Hollywood combined. And the reason is simple. Conservatives know how to use their platforms to actually shift public opinion. Liberals? They just trying to keep their brand clean. They don't want to alienate nobody. They don't want to go too deep into it, cause they scared of messing up the bag. That's why even when they do speak on politics, it's the safest, most sanitized takes imaginable. Love is love. Go vote. Meanwhile, you got conservative influencers talking about overthrowing democracy and repealing civil rights laws, and their audience eats it up. The left's biggest problem is they still trying to play nice, when the other side done turned politics into full-blown warfare. And that's why, when it comes to actual influence, the right is light years ahead. So yeah, miss me with this whole liberals control the culture narrative. They control the aesthetic, the vibes. But when it comes to actual political impact, nah, Hollywood celebrities ain't changing nobody's mind. They just virtue signal, cash their checks, and keep it moving. Meanwhile, conservative influencers out here building cults. And that's why we in the mess we in today. And that's all I gotta say on that. If you rock with Original Talk, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, tap in, and let's keep calling out the nonsense. Matter of fact, don't just sit there, get active. Talk to your people, organize, and start pushing back on all this performative BS. Cause trust me, the other side ain't playing. So why should we? Don't let these Twitter activists and Hollywood elites gaslight you into thinking a hashtag is enough. It's time to mobilize, strategize, and actually make moves. So subscribe, share this, and let's get to work. We out.